welcome to the third episode of AI Updates, the talk show about artificial intelligence for built environment professionals, brought to you by Finnish AI Region Fair. My name is Teemu Lehtinen. I'm the CEO of KiraHub, the innovation hub for the built environment sector here in Finland, and I'll be your host again today. In today's episode, we will have the latest news about AI within the built environment sector. Three amazing guests. We'll have George Tang from Mixx Reality, Tommi Arola from Building Information Foundation, and Damiano Cerrone from UrbanistAI. Also, we will cover the AI story with demo about UrbanistAI today. And the question of the day selected from the audience. And then we will discuss with all the guests about that in the end. So, let's go to the news. All right, time for the news. So the social media has continued to be active with AI-related posts lately. The real estate and construction influencer Anthony Slumbers just posted on LinkedIn how he tried ChatGPT vision feature to critique an example master plan. It actually gave a thorough analysis of diversity of zones, waterfront utilization, green spaces, connectivity, infrastructure, building heights, parking, historic preservation, and also commercial and leisure aspects, just based on the picture. So it was also able to provide quite credible potential concerns of the master plan. So this is pretty interesting stuff, and please go and check Anthony's post about it. Similarly, one of the biggest construction sector newspaper in Finland, Rakennuslehti, actually published an article where the reporter was asking ChatGPT a lot of questions about real estate and construction sector, just to see how well it understands the dynamics of our sector. Many of the answers were actually quite general still, not that interesting maybe, but there were also some good points on how to avoid design mistakes in projects or cost overruns in construction projects. So I guess things are also developing on our sector specifics. Continue on with the topic with ChatGPT. Finnish Building Information Limited, Rakennustieto, just published their new service, RT Files Virtual Assistant, where they utilize ChatGPT as the user interface for their vast information base of best building practices with different building products, for example. This solution was actually created quite fast over the summer and launched just recently at the end of September. And we will discuss more about it with Tommi Arola, one of our guests today. Also, some recent news about FAIR. Finnish AI Region is accelerating with their service offerings and presence also in different events. FAIR is one of the European digital innovation hubs aiming to accelerate AI adoption for small and medium-sized companies in both health and built environment sectors. As part of FAIR, we at KiraHub are focusing on the built environment sector, of course, and providing the following services: AI for Built Environment Open online course in Finnish and in English, and the AI Accelerator, a 3-month sprint where companies can join to plan and test an idea in practice. And we also offer some test bed and matchmaking activities. And actually, the next batch of the companies will start the AI Accelerator next week on Tuesday, and it'll be interesting to see what they will be working on. In addition, regarding the FAIR news, the FAIR partner FKAI, Finnish Center of Artificial Intelligence, is organizing their annual event, AI Day, on November 8th in Espoo. So please check it out if you're interested in that. Next to the guests.
Artificial intelligence drives the development of global societies, and Finland is at the heart of turning the theory into practice. Finnish AI Region Fair is a new European digital innovation hub that fast-forwards your AI abilities to the next decade. As part of an EU flagship initiative, Fair EDIH solves real-life business problems using both existing and novel AI. Focusing on digital services, smart cities, and health sector, Fair offers the services of 60 AI professors and their teams, access to Europe's fastest supercomputer Lumi, state-of-the-art test facilities, and world-class venture capital. Fair aims to be genuinely useful, bringing concepts to life. We help SMEs transform AI-empowered innovations into actual products and better internal processes. Through collaboration, we enable SMEs to take a leap in productivity and competitiveness, taking them to the forefront of utilization of AI in their field. Our services include needs analysis and road mapping, training, test before invest, matchmaking, support to find investments. With FAIR, you get access to a unique network of pioneering AI operators in Finland, from leading academic institutions and corporations to the 3 capital region cities, Helsinki, Vantaa, and Espoo. FAIR supports ethically sustainable and ecologically endurable choices, all through reliable, cutting-edge technological innovations. This allows us to make the societal impact we envision. Digital challenges. Together, we will overcome. With FAIR, you become the future.
All right. Our first guest is George Tang from Mixx Reality. Welcome, George.
It's wonderful to be here talking about AI, one of my favorite subjects in the world.
Super. So you actually came to Finland quite recently as a 90-day Finn and co-founded a new company here, Mixx Reality. So tell us a little bit about your journey so far.
And what a wonderful journey it has been. For those of you who are not familiar with the 90-day Finn program, it is one run by the city of Helsinki through Helsinki Partners, in which a call is put out internationally to entrepreneurs, investors, and people with extraordinary capabilities to come to Helsinki to really spread the word about what is happening here in the business ecosystem in Helsinki. And I was lucky enough to be chosen and part of the cohort of the 2022 90-day Finns. And for 3 months, I stayed here, got to know the local ecosystem quite well, got to know Kira Hub as well. And through it all, I left Helsinki with the idea that, wow, this is a really wonderful place with wonderful technology and wonderful people and capabilities. There must be something that can be done to really help not only spread the story about Helsinki, but also leverage what's special about here and potentially form a company. And that's exactly what I did. I went home. I actually met my co-founder in the 90-day Finn program. And after talking for better part of 4 months after I went home, we decided to actually form Mixx Reality. Mixx Reality is a company that aims to increase people's ability to add meaning into space with data. And we think this is the right place for the company. This is the right environment as well, which matches our personal mission for personal privacy and security, as well as the ability for people to really make use of their own data. And that the government here in Finland, as well as within the region, as well as within the greater EU, has much vision aligned with us to create this company as well. So we're happy to be here. We're happy to really make our mark and really spread the word about what's so special about Finland and its ecosystem of technology and startups.
Super. Really looking forward to learn more how you kind of go toward that vision here. You've been actually working for some time with AI related work already. So what is your relationship and past with AI?
So my past with AI, this is a very long story because I've been alive for quite a while, but I will start from the beginning, as all good stories are. My start with AI really started within college. In our computer science program, we had to choose a specialization, and I chose AI. Unfortunately, the time in which I chose AI, they actually actively discourage people from studying AI because they say that you're never going to get a job, or you have to be basically a lifetime academic if you want to go into the field of AI. And this really goes to illustrate how many times AI has been promised to come and really change everything within computing. And actually, when I was actually in college and studying things such as symbolic logic or functional logic, which used to be the basis for AI, they discouraged us from doing so because they thought AI was not going anywhere. Subsequently, when around 2010, we recognized that after I'd been in the work environment for a while, we recognized that the field of artificial intelligence once again is beginning to get a lot of hype, get a lot of investments. So to make a long story short, after about 3 specialized companies focused in AI, with the last one that I exited from in 2019, we really put together a portfolio of many different solutions having to do with not only classical machine learning, but also deep learning as well. And applying those particular technologies to specific use cases within the industry. And my journey towards AI for the last 10 years has been trying to figure out how to make AI work in a business context and to work in a way that is not, that people will not reject it, and that to work in a way that allows people to adapt this technology without even recognizing too much about that AI is actually working in the background to help them.
Yeah. Super interesting. So how do you actually utilize AI now with the Mixx Reality, the new company?
So in Mixx Reality, our core business is to help people integrate data within a spatial computing context. And specifically around AI and its uses within Mixx Reality, it's all about helping people to manipulate space in the most natural kind of way. It is also about using AI to help tie together disparate sources of data that exist today in the Web 2.0 in the data silos that we are all familiar with, to jailbreak, so to speak, data out of their siloed application specific context or even ecosystem context for natural integration and the ability to then identify using AI's assistance to really bring together that information to tell compelling stories, to really add interaction into the space to make that data in the overall sense, in the meta sense, very meaningful. Not just having to struggle with documents and trying to find out this information, but holistically pull together the information and tell that story through space and time.
Okay. So you also being kind of immersed to the built environment sector through our community here and also through your co-founder. How would you see, with kind of all the pros and cons of this industry, how do you see the true future potential of AI and machine learning within this sector?
I think as it stands, from what I have seen, and I think this is true globally as a generalized trend, is that this built environment industry, outside of the very tech-focused part of this industry, is actually quite conservative. While in the short term, that might appear to be quite a disadvantage for adoption for new technologies, I think in the long term, it really serves as a great test bed to test out the concept that AI can be applied without it actually being very surprising for even a very traditional industry full of relationships, full of inefficiencies, full of very thin margins. And in fact, through my last couple of companies, I have spent a great deal of time thinking about how do we get the most profit-driven, the most practical of industries to adapt advanced concepts and the latest and greatest within AI technology. And over time, I have really come to the opinion that as long as there exist many problems that you can plug in very simplistic AI solutions for and make that happen in the background without a lot of surprising things or new ways to interact with people's data, and just focusing on solving the problems that exist that are on the smaller of scales, and that you do it automatically as assistance for people who are actually experiencing these problems, you can make quite a bit of headway because you're not asking the consumers of these technology to actually change anything about what they do on a day-to-day basis. But the opportunity is huge because there is significant challenges around issues of safety, around issues of communication, around communication of different phases of projects with different expertise, and oftentimes around great number of different parties communicating together. One of AI's superpower, one of the things that AI is really, really great at is integrating all of that information and making that, number one, very simplistic and understandable, so everybody can be communicating in near real time on the same subject matter, crossing those functional divide. But secondly, these tiny use cases can very much benefit from limited use of AI to very advanced use of AI, but you can do so in a gated fashion. You can do it in a way that you're creating solutions on small scales to really get people to trust the solutions, because from their perspective, you save them 5 minutes on this interaction, 10 minutes on that interaction, and maybe 20 minutes on a document update that needs to go out to everyone. And all of a sudden, it becomes a solution that saves them time. And then very slowly, and you can mention that we are using AI in the background to help you, but really you didn't have to change anything that you do. So for me, the opportunity is huge within the built environment sector, because the problems are very much about the complexity of data, about coordinating people together to work on something that really crosses boundaries. And AI is an excellent solution overall to solving those problems. And I think the potential ultimately is very large, but the challenges for adoptions are also very large as a result. And my personal perspective is, if you make it so that AI is invisible, and yet you can still demonstrate all of the advantages of plugging in an AI solution, it becomes much easier to convince people to trust AI-based solutions and take away some of those fears about, whether people are going to lose their jobs, or many of these irrational fears, when in fact they understand, oh, it's the AI solution is here to help me perform my job much more efficiently. It is to help the project become more profitable. It is about helping the stakeholders understand what's happening in real time in a much more coordinated, much more holistic way. That's my personal opinion. So,
Super promising, I would say. Thank you, George, for coming as a guest for our today's AI updates episode. If you want to continue the discussion with George, you can find him on LinkedIn. You can also most probably find him here at Urban Tree Space working. So come here for a coffee.
All the time.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And it's time to go to the next guest. All right. Our second guest is Tommi Arola from Building Information Foundation. Welcome, Tommi.
Thanks, and very pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
I mentioned in the news that you just launched RT Files Virtual Assistant with ChatGPT. So tell us a little bit more about it, and what is it all about, and why did you actually start developing?
Yeah, interesting journey. I'm from Building Information Foundation. We are a non-governmental organization. One of our companies, Rakennustieto Limited, started to develop an AI assistant for RT files. I will explain a little bit further what does it mean. Our virtual assistant for RT files is based on the RT files is a good building practices in Finland in very short terms. Very large waste amount of PDF files in written format and commonly agreed information in built environment sector and stakeholders, how to build good buildings and what are the best practices to do so. Um, it's very traditional for since 80 years of history behind. And what we wanted to do is to simplify and also make an easy access to our customers to for this information. So the chat GPT or GPT based interface was quite interesting to reach out now at these days, because it's a new technology, and it's a kind of a very super easy way for user to get this information and actually make the questions and answers based on the information we provide. One critical point here is that we wanted to make a restricted only for our customers closed AI at this stage, because it's information service that's our one of our core businesses in Rakennustieto's Tieto company.
Super interesting. So you launched it in the end of September. So now there's some weeks of being operational. Uh, how's the feedback been from the customer side?
Yeah, it was very super fast process. We started before the summer, and we launched the pilot in late September, and it was very kind of a couple of months only when we developed this. And actually, when we invited all our build environment clients to be on board this development, we received only almost 500 interest people in a 1 week to participate this demonstrator, and we launch it, and now the comments and feedback have been very positive, because it's a waste amount of information that is built, and every day our designers and contractors are using our RT files to search the building practices, and now you can easily by asking questions find the solution and information. It has been very positive now, so we have very good feedback from that initiative.
Sounds promising. And with kind of this interface, you could actually even access some of the information that you didn't even thought of trying to find previously.
Yep. It's a very good tool for us internally, because we can now link different PDF files together, and when the user is asking question, the service will provide an information what is being merged from different sources of PDFs, uh, and secondly, the service will also it can also give a link to references, so it's kind of an very easy access to different PDF and links to it. So you can, whenever you ask questions, you can see the reference where the AI refers to the answer.
Have you seen any growth in amount of customers for RT files since the launch?
I don't have the figures unfortunately yet. It's very new, but luckily I think that it will also it is a very good demonstrator and also a tool. Now it's concrete tool, it's not a demonstrator at this stage, but it's very good for our customers already in place, and also for the future, but unfortunately no figures at this stage.
All right. So tell us a little bit more about Building Information Foundation as a whole. What do you guys do, and how are you planning to utilize AI and machine learning maybe in the future?
Yeah, we are a facilitator, and we have established an R&D unit within our foundation. We have three pillars for our research and development actions: digitalization, responsible construction, and a new innovation. And we are focusing more and more towards to make and understand the research and development, and especially the research part of how do you use the research results for construction and real estate development. Yeah, we do have intention to further develop the AI solutions. One specific interest now today is that how we can develop a construction specific language model, because we see now that we need a full 100% confidence, and we have now learned that based on our demonstrator, there are a strong need to have a proof and confidence of the information what the AI is providing. And today, as we see that we have those very general AI application, and we see that in the future we have more and more probably closed community or closed professional AI services that will be emerging in built environment domain, because we need to have a AI solutions and AI solutions that can provide very confident information for the designers and property owners and so forth, because we have very lots of money being involved in this business. So we see it that way.
Indeed, indeed. So in the big picture, I know I often say that construction is knowledge intensive business, but at the moment it's been quite data poor. So a lot of the knowledge is inside our heads of the workers, and there hasn't been that many ways to really systematically collect, at least automatically, all this data that goes around within our construction projects. Of course, new solutions come to that need as well. How do you see like real future potential of AI within the construction sector, built environment sector? And you kind of mentioned that we should start developing these construction specific data models to tap into that. But what are kind of the really main benefits that we could get through development?
Yeah, we have a lot of unstructured data in the construction and real estate business, and also the research results shows that we produce 50% of all of our data in construction. That's black data. That is data which is not being used, or the data which is not being in real time available. So I see that now it's time to take these AI opportunities, AI application in place to reduce that amount of black data that is being produced. That's also the productivity issue, because I have heard and I have seen as well to that lots of different people are producing information, but I don't know where it comes or where it goes by the end of the project. So I see that the data, as told already, data can serve an interface to make these benefits all of our data what is being produced. Luckily enough, in Finland, we have been investing 2-3 years now for semantic interoperability, and I see that's one of the very interesting research topics and development topics as well. How do we make the semantic interoperability and AI language model or other model development together to make this AI decision making more fluent and more confident as earlier. So I see that we now have the tools, cloud computing, language models, semantic interoperability that allows us now to get the full power of data. That's my kind of a future interest.
Great, and we can continue this discussion with the question of the day a bit later on. But thank you, Tommi, for joining us as a guest, and we'll continue a bit later.
Thank you.
right, our final guest is Damiano Cerrone from UrbanistAI. Welcome, Damiano.
Thank you.
So, what is UrbanistAI and why did you start developing it?
Yeah, well, UrbanistAI is a generative AI platform to reimagine the future of cities. And when I say reimagine, I don't mean just create a picture, but like in the case of Helsinki, even transforming streets and squares. So what actually does is that it allows for a group of people actually to work together and reimagine mostly public space, but often also interior spaces and more streets, mostly in squares. Well, the way it kind of the way it developed, it was so that 2018, so kind of 5 years back, I was running participatory planning workshops, and Lucas Tornaiolo, one of the co-founder, he was actually at the Venice Biennale using AI, training AI actually, and also using AI to basically kind of make virtual tours of cities that don't exist. And I was seeing in our field of urban design, urban planning, that citizens, stakeholders, even investors, they are included in the planning process, usually as commentators. So they are basically surveyed. And what we were seeing, especially also with children, that there were many barriers, like language barriers and imagination barriers, to be actually dealt with. So we started basically to think, how could we transform participatory design and co-design so that we could break those language, communication, and also imagination barriers. And basically what we started to do, we started in 2018-19 to have artists. So the proof of concept actually was without the technology. We started to have artists to sketch people ideas and see kind of if we remove the post-its and we use images, does it actually help people to better work together? The answer was yes, because there was the master plan, the kids master plans of Narva in Estonia was done that way. And then with Luca and Lisa, she's the also co-founder and UX UI designer, we started to think, okay, can we actually use AI instead of an artist? Because of course, to speed up the process and have many people doing it at the same time. So what people can do basically today is two things. They can help. They can use AI to generative AI to get a bit sort of over this barrier of imagination. It's quite difficult if you ask somebody, how would you like to transform your street? It's a really difficult question, and AI helps you with that. And then they can take the actual images of the street, transform them so that they can actually evaluate their own ideas and discuss it with their peers and take decisions. So this is pretty much what the technology does. But I would say that half of the kind of success of the technology is also the methodology. So we have workshop with citizens, and that's been quite fun thing to do in the past year, almost year.
Super interesting story on how you kind of started with an artist to develop the concept and then have led to the kind of utilizing AI there. So tell me a little bit more how and why have you implemented the AI in the concept?
Yeah, well, because we started to see indeed that if we wanted to have a workshop or if we wanted to even include the whole population of a city, it would be impossible to have infinite amount of artists.
Exactly.
So that was basically why we started to think about AI. And also interestingly is that at the time there was no DALL-E, there was no stable diffusion. So which now it's big thing for us, because what it meant that Luca started to train and started to tune our own set of models. So we don't use DALL-E, we don't use any of the APIs. So actually, when you use UrbanistAI, it's literally running on our computers, on our servers that are based in Boston. So, and I would say what we are seeing, the kind of how we're using it, it's a lot in urban planning. So as I said, City of Helsinki has already done two, kind of one street and one square. But also we see also organizations like United Nations Development Program. We work a lot with them to empower local communities. Also Southeast Asia. We've been recently in Batumi in Georgia. So we also use UrbanistAI actually to not just co-design the future of cities, but we are starting to use it more and more to train people using AI. Because I was just reading on this Harvard Business Review that the average kind of lifespan of a skill used to be 5 years, but now AI is cutting it to 2. So it means that you need to learn a new skill every 2 years to keep your job in a way, more or less. And we're seeing that it's really important for us to teach as many people as possible how to use these technologies. And reason why it's also important is that images have power. So when you kind of use UrbanistAI, you produce an image, which means that then images give power to people that image. So we need to ensure that as more people as possible kind of have the power of image to express their ideas. So even children, one of the best things we are seeing is that kids that don't speak and they're just learning. I mean, they do speak, but they don't read and write yet perfectly. So 4 years old kids, they can actually come together, express their ideas visually, and even in group takes decisions on how they would like their school to change. So we're seeing that this is we're breaking this language barrier and cultural barriers quite dramatically, actually.
That's super interesting, kind of being able to provide tools to empower citizens in a new way, and also tools for cities and municipalities to provide more kind of participatory processes, which can be quite difficult in practice.
They are, and they can even be conflictual. And one of the reasons why they are so is that if you ask somebody how would you like your city to be like, it's a very difficult question, and AI helps with that. But mostly is that it is not possible if you just write down your idea. It is not possible to test it. So, but when you have a photograph of a place, and you can have the AI help you to see how that idea would look like on a real photograph, then it's possible for you as a person to think first, is this what I really want? And I think that's this kind of process of evaluation where I think that AI has also like huge power. Usually we need to wait 3 to 6 months that an architecture office makes different scenarios to evaluate if the idea is a good or a bad idea. But now you can do it in about a couple of seconds. So that's quite important. So the discussion happens in real time.
So now you gonna spend some time developing this one tool, one service, utilizing AI for urban development. If you had to kind of think of bigger picture or other opportunities, how would you see kind of the opportunity of AI and machine learning within urban development or built environment in general?
What is interesting about this is that with AI, when we think about the future, then it's like next week Monday, actually. So we started to think about what is the future of what we're doing in January, and now we're already kind of doing it. So for instance, what we were thinking is indeed like, same with large language model, is that organizations would have their own models. So that's kind of the future, but it's already happening. So for instance, we're already doing the first model for a city of Dubai. So basically, we're developing for them, we're training the specific model for that specific city. So they're not going to use our UrbanistAI generic one, but we're going to have photographs of the cities. We're going to have also the visions from the cities, and we're going to train the AI using that. And then I believe that then the next step of the future is that small organizations can even train their own AI. So exactly the future was that city, or in this case was the Prime Minister Office of Dubai, can have the resources to do that. But I think then the next step is going to be that a group of 5 people can do the same. So, and until it's going to be that each single person can start to train their own model. Of course, there is in that level, there is going to be some data privacy issue to be solved, but it's still far future, maybe 6 months.
Super interesting. All right, we will soon continue with the demo with the AI story on UrbanistAI. So let's go to the next phase. So in today's AI story, we're continuing with UrbanistAI and demo live their solution. So let's see how it works.
Yeah, so different organizations use it in different ways because some organizations, so they're planners, some are actually local associations of people, some are public offices. But I will give you just some quick examples, really quick, because as I said before, also the most important thing is the method. I'm showing you now an example from a workshop we've done with the Ministry of Climate in Estonia. The way it works, again, as I said, we have different models. So each client can actually choose which model they want, one that is more realistic, one which is more futuristic. So we have different models that they can use. But generally, the way it works is that first you have a bit of a moment in which AI can help you to come up with a concept. Now, again, I said this is done specifically for that workshop, but to get an idea that, okay, what if we want to have a square, so a plaza, perhaps a civic plaza? What can we have there? Maybe let's have some greenery, so gardening. Okay, a pocket park. So in this process, what you can actually do is that you can start to think what it is that I want. Because as I said, what we saw in the first workshop is that you have somebody in Helsinki and say, hey, we need to redesign the street. How would you like to have it? It's super difficult question. What would you like to have there? Like if this wasn't a street. So what we see is that we need actually the AI to help us out with that. And this is the first moment. And now it's, it's coming up, so some images. And here is where you can start to think, is this the concept that I actually would like to implement? So usually people spend half an hour, even 1 hour on this process, and they can simply favorite their images. So let's say that, yeah, I like something like that. This is something that I like. They start the image. This is done in groups, as I mentioned usually. Then they can actually go back to their real images, photographs taken same day or taken before, or even taken from their phone. So this is also running on mobile phone. And they can exactly select an image where they would like to try a square, how a square would look like of that kind. So then they select an image, and here's the concept we developed before. And now again, depending on the internet speed, depending on how many people are connected at the same time today, but what we're going to see is that we're going to see the AI trying to take that idea and test it and evaluate that idea on that specific space. So, and this is the most important part, right? Because now we can start to see that the AI is giving us, again, different opportunities. And second process, again, which is our favorite as a team? Well, these are our two favorites, great. Then at the end of a session, usually what people do is that they start to vote, especially if it's a real project. So all the images then are displayed, and people with the phone or with their hands or whatever you like the most, they can start to decide which is their top 10 images. And in the case of Helsinki, those become design guidelines. So those top 10 images were sent to WSP and Sweco, the architecture offices that were working there. And they also run the workshop. So that's also one thing to say is that we train the companies to run the work. We don't run the workshops. I mean, we help them if needed. But it was Sweco and WSP architects that ran the workshop. And then those images, they become the kind of a design guidelines for the actual rendering. So they can focus more on the quality. They don't need to make, 10 different scenarios that we don't know yet if people will like it. But they can actually use people's imagination as inspiration for the drawings. So that's the most classical way to use it. But then some partners use in different ways. So they can go, there's different interfaces. There's even one just for children. So if you have a workshop with kids, you have a kids interface. It's a bit different, of course. Still, you choose an image, but then you have the concepts are displayed in different ways because I said some of them they don't even read well yet, and then they can start to test also their own ideas and see how it goes. And we're doing this actually in several cities in Finland right now. So we're being funded by the Architecture Council of Europe to do that.
Yeah, you mentioned several projects in Finland and also Estonia and Tallinn. Where else have you already been utilizing this approach in with cities, and what are being kind of the experience?
Yeah, so we started actually. So we actually went to the public, let's say January of this year. So it's 10 months, and we did about 25 projects. So it's been quite busy time. But also in Pristina, it was very interesting. So it was used to redesign, to regenerate a block of 12 buildings. So again, the community came there, and even the mayor then presented the work. So it was very interesting. And now it's also, that one is in the construction process. But then it doesn't always have to be construction. So for instance, we've been working on the co-design process of the new capital city in Indonesia, where citizens and local communities were asked more to stay on this conceptual level. So the images that I was showing you before, so on the kind of abstract without images. And those kind of so-called citizens mood boards, they're then used again as design guidelines for architecture competitions offices, architecture competition processes that go forward that way. But yeah, also City of Singapore, the Planning Office of Singapore now is using it for their own internal participatory planning process. So what we are seeing is that we usually give a generic method. So we make this kind of boot camp. So when a client comes to us, we have kind of 4-hour kind of workshop where we show them how we use UrbanistAI in different cases. But then we see that each different client uses it in their own, they start to develop their own approach. So, and the point that we don't use ChatGPT or we don't use any of the DALL-E allow us actually to customize. So one of the main services that we have actually is that we customize the interface and the models for the clients. So we can actually change how the AI responds. We can change how the interface looks based on your approach. And we can even change the training set. So what kind of images the model is trained on. And now we're doing it also in 3 dimensions. So that's going to be the next step, is to do it in 3D. Because construction sector came to us and said, this is very interesting, but we don't have images. We only have the volumes, or we have the digital twin. So how can we do that? So now we are basically training the AI to be able to actually to start from a 3D model file, so OBJ or whatever it is. Same process, you write down something, or you get the AI helping you out, so you can regenerate, you can test different ideas with the kind of volumes that usually are just white cubes.
Super interesting. All right. So how about as a company now, as a
Yes.
fairly young startup to scale up, or what are your kind of objectives and plans now for the near future? Are you looking for partners, funding? How do you see your
Actually, we've been developing this without fundings. We've been developing this based on the cases because we saw that it's been, at least for us, it's been the most successful thing. So to first find the case and the client, and then actually developing the AI based on that client's needs. So what's happening right now, that's why we have so many interfaces and why we think it's working so well for everyone, is that we first met the client, understood what they needed, and then say, okay, let's see in a month, because we're going to develop this just for you. So we've been doing this client by client. And but the future, I think it's going to be to open this to the public as well, which we will do actually also in 2 weeks in a city in Switzerland. So that basically anyone in the city, they can just scan a QR code, take a photo on the street, and reimagine how would that look like. That's number one. And number two is the 3D. So we want to go more in the construction sector because we know that they need to actually have the AI respecting planning laws, planning rules, design normatives, and so on. So we need to ensure that the AI can work not with a photograph, but can work with a 3D model. So these are the two kind of paths that we are developing right now. And in terms of funding, as I said, we are not actively looking. We are actually looking for cases.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. If you want to continue discussions with Damiano, you can find him on LinkedIn, I would guess.
Yeah,
and also you're based here in Finland.
Yeah, in Helsinki, yes.
In Helsinki. So just
We can have some coffee. Yes.
Exactly. All right, time to go forward with the question of the day. All right, and we're back with the question of the day. That is actually from Pilvi Nummi from Aalto University, and she will also win a ticket to next year's WDB World of Digital Built Environment in September 2024. Congrats, Pilvi. The question is, what is the relationship between information models and AI? Do we still need strictly defined information models, or will AI solve the interoperability challenges with unstructured data in the future? Let's see what ChatGPT was thinking about this question first. So, information models and AI are closely related concepts in the field of data and information processing. Okay, it goes through the description of what information models are, what AI and interoperability is, the need for information models. Strictly defined information models are still essential for several reasons: standardization, data integrity, and regulatory compliance. But there's definitely synergy between information models and AI. The most effective approach is often a combination of well-defined information models and AI capabilities. Information models provide a structured foundation, while AI can assist in tasks like data transformation, understanding unstructured data, and making sense of complex relationships. Ongoing development efforts are being made to improve interoperability through both advancement in AI and the development of standardized information models. So in conclusion, while AI can play a significant role in addressing interoperability challenges, strictly defined information models remain crucial for ensuring standardized data representation and exchange. The combination of both approaches is likely to yield the best results in many applications. So, what do you guys think? Was ChatGPT a good answer, or do you have something to complement that with?
Well, if I start, this is very basic information, and I see here that one of the core issues, that how we improve the confidence and how we improve the references where this data is based on. My take on this question is that I think that we need more than ever the structured information and the information models, because by that we can teach the AI to be work for specific domain related problems or that specific issues that our customers needs or our companies needs to build business on. So I think that we have a very good opportunity now to use these information models to provide this kind of more targeted information using AI. That's my first thought. Please, gentlemen, continue.
Well, first and foremost, before I answer the question, I'd like to just make an observation about both of your approaches. I am extremely impressed, as someone who has been in AI for quite a while, at the fact that each of your solution is actually focused on the humans to help the humans either comprehend information or find information in a more efficient way, or help encourage the sharing of data, the sharing of ideas, the ability to vote on an idea to increase participation. I believe this is really the true power of AI, and oftentimes we are bamboozled by the cool tech and the capabilities of AI, and forgetting that we created these solutions to help people. And so I just wanted to say I'm very impressed, and I'm very happy to see that this is the direction that AI are actually being applied for in that there are markets that are very receptive to this way of thinking, because ultimately I think it can be applied all the way down to the individual level. And it will help the generations cross those divides that we were never able to efficiently help them to cross in an efficient way. Now, back to the question. Information models. We've been modeling information for a long time. Certainly before AIs were very capable, it was actually essential to do so. I think this question really has much to do with why we want to model information. What are the reasons why? The reasons why is because of the same reasons that are listed up here. From the most fundamental level, it's about those regulatory capabilities or the specificity of agreement between different parties, between human parties in doing business. And that the AI itself can assist in helping data to be more free form, but the ability for us to regulate industries, the ability for us to actually come to consensus without a lot of gray areas, without a lot of hand waving, is the reason why we would ask such a question. So I think the answer has to do with what is the time frame in which we want to come to some kind of solution while this solution is still useful, or the discussion is fresh, or it facilitates some kind of purpose. If, for example, we want to write regulations around particular issues and make sure that different industries are talking in the same dialects of the same standard, then we need to make sure that data models are very, very well defined and very specifically defined, so we can audit them, so we can review what's being exchanged based on these very specific data models. But there are also cases in which data usage and data fusion is very ephemeral. It doesn't really matter if we don't completely agree upon the definition of this number versus that number. Maybe sometimes it's more important for us in real time come to an agreement. In those cases, data can be much less structured and still be useful. So it really comes down to us as human beings coming to an agreement about how important it is to be specific, how important it is to completely agree, and how that can be regulated. And then understanding that, well, also what is the time frame in which this can be useful. And based on that, we can answer this question to the level that we need to answer the question for the problem at hand. So I think it's not an either or. I think the ability for AI to help us to generate these data models is tremendous. We can turn the AI itself to generate better data models. And then we can subsequently conduct more conversations about, hey, we need to improve these aspects of data models. So not only can it engender more generation of data models, we can also turn the AI to help us come up with AI models, with data models that are much more at a much better pace. So really, it's a bootstrapping problem, and really, but at the essence of it, I believe it has everything to do with us coming to a consensus about the importance of specificity and traceability and auditability, so that we can have regulations that goes along with these agreed on data models to the specificity that is still useful in the time that we are asking these questions. So sometimes it takes too long for these questions to reach an answer, and we don't care by the time we're done, which is a major problem, but AI can help with that. So thank you.
Super, makes sense. Damiano, anything to add?
Yeah, well, I'm not honestly an expert on the field, but what I've been seeing, at least since, because I've been doing this for just a couple of years. What we are seeing with AI is that what is interesting for us is to understand actually what is the information that we are ready as society or as a group of people to omit. Because whenever we have a kind of an information system, some information is always lost. And so the question is, what are the value settings exercises that we have to go through to decide what elements it's actually essential for us to model and which ones are not, because some will be always lost. So I think the main question is, what are we okay with losing and what we're okay with not losing? So that's been at least what kind of the way we've been approaching this, especially in training generative AI models. But yeah, I think it was well said by the others already.
And it is also kind of minimum viable level of information in different needs.
Yeah, and how we categorize it, because also I think once we input the data inside a model, well, we need to ensure that what comes out of it, it's aligned with our original needs. So I think that's also this kind of a data question of alignment. I think it's still extremely open and well researched at the moment.
Tommi.
Yeah, just got some ideas about the talks, and one thing what I want to also highlight in here is the creativity. So I see that there is a world of structured information, and AI can help the structured information generation. But also what I see as a very big synergy, and from get very fancy example from UrbanistAI about the creation and creativity to create a new data just out of the box, just thinking out loud what is happening, and out of the box what is how the build environment should look like, and of course there is these data models behind, but I see that that's a very good tool to kind of getting some out of the area what has been specified or defined earlier. So I see that there is also room for that in a dialogue of AI, and yeah, but still, of course, in some specific questions, we do need the level of confidence for information and the references, and there we need the information models.
Yes, we're already running a bit over time, I see. So I think we could continue on this discussion for quite a while, but we have to put a stop here. Thank you so much for coming as guests. Hopefully, our participants got a lot of fresh ideas and new insight with today's episode. And feel free to contact these people here, amazing people, for further conversations. Uh, Thank you, everybody online, for watching today's talk show. More info about FAIR you can find at www.fairedih.fi. And see you next time on December 4th, actually. So bye bye for now. Thanks.